This is the Aston Martin Heritage Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another AMHT podcast. I am Gary Taylor. In this bumper episode, we covered the Vantage Celebration Day held on Sunday, 17th of August 2025 at the British Motor Museum, Gaydon. And it was powered by the Aston Martin Owners Club and supported by the Aston Martin Heritage Trust. Dr. Betts was there and reproduced his opening speech to launch the new V8 Vantage from the Geneva Motor Show. Steve Waddingham and I went round the car park talking to some of the owners and the past and present AML employees. Finally, towards the end of the podcast, Dr. Betts granted an exclusive interview to the AMHT in the quiet surroundings of the museum, talking about the DB7 Vantage, obviously the V8 Vantage, how Aston Martin had to grow, and also touched on the Signet. Hope you enjoy it, and here it is.
We're going to shortly do a talk. Dr. Betts is going to talk about the VH2 cars and Vantage cars, which is the majority of the cars you see behind you or in front of you. Thanks. We're also today we're celebrating from the DB2 all the way up to the very modern Vantages, which are still being produced. Right, Ulrich, over to you.
We are celebrating 20 years of a V8 Vantage. I have suggested to hold my speech for the introduction, for the press introduction on 28th of February 2005 with this car. So you can listen to what I have said 25 years ago, nearly now, to Aston Martin and the V8 Vantage. So it starts with tonight. You participate in what can be seen a small step for the automotive industry, but a big step for Aston Martin. Thank you for joining us and good evening. This tiny company has undergone such a transformation that it is now almost unrecognizable from the company that I luckily enough took over in July 2000. A new headquarter in Gaydon, a completely new factory to build high-quality product, a new dedicated engine plant at Cologne in Germany, double the number of employees, and a complete new range of beautiful sports cars. A company reborn. But in other important areas, it is still very recognizable as the old Aston Martin. We still make hand-built, distinctive sports cars, but they are now a blend of artistic craftsmanship and high technology. We still make beautiful, elegant cars, but they are much more sophisticated and detailed and usable. We still have people who were with us through the old, but they now enjoying a flourishing company. And our customers, you still own about 80% of all cars ever produced. Aston Martins do not know an end of life. Many dealers too go back decades. They have been through good times and bad, although it was often more bad than good. I thank you for your belief and loyalty, your custom, your enthusiasm, your determination, and your patience. You have played a key part in the transformation of this great, tiny company. A big thank you also to the whole Aston Martin team, which made all this happen. Two major players of the team have to move on. Hendrik Fisker, responsible for styling of DB9 and V8 Vantage, as well as Tim Watson, who led the foundation of a successful brand communication. On such important day as today, I must touch the past. We have had a very checkered past, 7 different owners, 9 different homes, bankrupt 3 times, and we sold 42 cars in 1992. Perhaps because the future looked so uncertain, Aston Martin was preoccupied with its past. One thing I learned at my time at Porsche was always look ahead, but with a respect to the past. Because to disown your heritage is to die. But to be dictated by your heritage is just as deadly. And so I try to open the doors to the future. In best tradition, we looked forward and changed what needed to be changed. We were very mindful and respectful of great cars like DB4 and DB5, of great achievements like our Le Mans win in 1959, of great men such as Lionel Martin, David Brown, Walter Hayes, or Victor Condrety. individuals who can be seen as creator of a mystique around Aston Martin. Motorsport has been in our genes since the early days of Aston Martin. We are returning to international motorsport and to Le Mans with DBR9, partly out of respect to our past. But more importantly, it is the right thing to do for our business. It is an important component of modern, rejuvenated, dynamic Aston Martin. The speed this company is moving is evident in how we satisfy the increasing demand. We will hand manufacture cars at a rate of about 5,000 cars this year, 120 times as many as we made in 1992. That's only 12 years ago. And I can assure you, we do this quality levels at least meeting highest standards. The speed can also be seen on 6 new cars we have launched in the last 3 years, including a DB9. DB9, which was the most important model in our history until this time. Why? Simply, it was the first car to be built on the base of our own aluminum platform in our new Gaydon factory. And DB9 is the best-selling Aston Martin in our history. More than 2,000 were produced and delivered to customers within a year. This spring, we will see the DB9 Volante, a car which will account for about half of DB9 sales. And today, we are launching another car. And yes, again, I am telling you, that is the most important car in our history. Why? The V8 Vantage will be the most affordable Aston Martin ever. It will be around £80,000 for a car with not too many options left. It will be more visible on the road than any previous Aston Martin, an order bank of about 2 years before the car even goes on sales gives us the confidence to say that. But it will still be very, very exclusive. The V8 Vantage of today is virtually identical to the AMV 8 concept car, first shown at the Detroit show in 2003. It shares the aluminum platform and other elements with DB9, and this is how we name it, the vertical segment which characterizes the V8 platform architecture. It makes this car financially viable, gives a high quality and reliability, and a good value for money. V8 is, I repeat, a unique Aston Martin platform engineered by us, for us, with a distinguished character and personality. We do not use modified, borrowed saloon platform for our sports cars. But let's not talk about the similarities. More important are the differences that make each car unique. The V8 Vantage is smaller than a DB9 or a Vanquish, lighter, V8 powered, 6-speed manual gearbox. It's an out-and-out sports car. Lean, light, agile, very fast, racetrack tuned, muscular shape, detail by detail. Yet, it is still usable every day. All Aston Martins are usable every day. This is imperative. The DB9 is larger, roomier, more defined. The sports car, the sports Grand Tourer, the marathon runner, rather than the sprinter. It sprints too, of course. But it's elegant, effortless, understated, and beside all this, offers a level of comfort which can be described as luxury. The Vanquish is our flagship, our supercar, our fastest and most powerful mod. It's more demanding, it's rare, and can be brutal. The Vanquish, if the Vanquish is James Bond, DB9, Richard Gere, the Volante, Sharon Stone, and the V8 Vantage can be seen as Russell Crowe. 3 distinct cars from a proud family, uniquely Aston Martin. Cars that fuse the highest technology with beautiful, classic, modern style. And Aston Martin's is not sufficiently described by a long hood and a flat roof, or a big hole in the front, or even not by the proportions. This does not make an Aston Martin. Aston Martins are described by the tension of the body, by the dynamic of the graphic, by the character of its grille and roofline, by alternating concave and convex surfaces, by three-dimensional elements, by lots of details, by authentic material, and by a perfect match of parts. Finally, however, look at the car. Wherever you stand, it is a consistent message. It's beautiful. As a leader in design, we will see, of course, imitations, but we interpret imitation as highest form of flattery. So Aston Martin stands for cars that combine advanced aerospace manufacturing techniques with the time-honored benefits of hand assembly, for craftsmanship that allows for designs that simply cannot be made by mass production. This is substance over superlatives. This is what we describe power, beauty, and soul. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm enormously proud to unveil here tonight this yellow Aston Martin V8 Vantage. This car is unveiled. We should put it away. So. Now, I followed to this now. I suggest you grasp a glass of Chaquezon. Chaquezon was at this time our champagne partner. Today it's Pommery. So have a glass of Pommery. Celebrate a moment of glory, what can be seen as the best of British. The best of British. Hey, come on. Hey.
Okay, so I've just bumped into somebody I've been really looking forward to meeting, and this is Nigel.
Hello.
Nigel, tell us why you're here.
Well, I'm here to celebrate the name Vantage, or as I pronounce it, Vantage, because the person who came up with this name was my dad.
Wow, that's really amazing. I mean, you know, we've just bumped into each other. We've been corresponding for a week or two, and the story has kind of come back up to the top again with a bit of help from Keane Rogers, who's been helping highlight a story that we knew about probably 30 years ago, and then it's been lost in the midst of time, but now resurrected, and we're all now talking, which is absolutely amazing. But tell us a little bit more about your family story.
Well, Dad came up with it in the 50s, and I'm not quite sure on the date, but it turns out it's 1950. And he was asked, he worked for Aston Martin out of Feltham. He worked out of there. He worked in the marketing department, as far as I know, and he was asked to come up with a name for a new engine. And he came up with the name Advantage. And his words, I was talking to the suits around the table, one of them would have been David Brown, extolling the virtues of the word or the name Advantage. And he said at the end of it, knock the two letters off and you've got yourself your name.
Brilliant. I mean, you know, that's something that's been handed down, that little bit of the story, the fact that it comes from the word advantage. But for many years, I've often wondered, I wonder who actually signed off the name or who came up with the actual suggestion for it. And now we know. So that's pretty amazing. And you're sat in a Vantage right now. Have you been in an Aston Martin before?
Yes, a friend of mine had a DB7 Zagato, which was an amazing car, but I think this looks better. Maybe it's because it's a Vantage, I'm not sure. But I pronounce it Vantage because Dad grew up in Chester.
Right.
So I used to tease him about path, and we used to say path down in the south.
Yeah.
So I pronounce it Vantage, just out of respect to him, and probably nobody else would.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Query me on that, and then I'd explain why.
I'll try and do that from now on if I can, but probably won't.
That's
but
all right.
I'll try.
That's all right.
So why don't we start this one up? So the car we're sat in. Well, let's hand over to Nick for a minute. Nick, introduce yourself. A lot of people know you anyway, but tell the audience worldwide who you are and what we're sort of sat in at the moment.
Hi Steve, I'm Nick V, or Nick Vanderwall. I tend to take photographs too many times. So we're just sat in the Cosmopolitan Yellow V12 Vantage AMR. So we're going to start it up. And well, you're going to start it. So what we're going to do first is put the key in this slot.
Nick is now showing Nigel where to put the key.
That's it. It starts a bit quieter because it's already warm. It's had quite an energised drive here this morning, shall we say. So
is that what you call it?
That's the word.
It does sound good.
So there we go.
It does sound good. Thank you.
It. So this is your Vantage, and ironically, you're in one of the only Vantages which doesn't say Vantage anywhere on it. So bizarrely, this is completely debadged, this one from factory. So normally they would say Vantage here or on the boot and things like that on the side.
Is that your preference, or?
I wasn't the one who spec'd this car. I'm the second owner of this car. I'm very, very happy with how the person spec'd it originally. I probably would have put the Vantage on it on the back. That's probably one of the only things I'd have done. But
don't you think that's unique now?
It's now unique.
Yes.
I know it's a Vantage, and others do, and it's such an important name to Aston Martin.
And how old is this car?
This is 2018, sorry.
2018.
Yeah. So one of the last ones. I think there's a 2018/91 behind us, the very last one. So yeah, you've got literally the entire collection here from start to end.
There we go. Well, thank you very much, both of you. It's really nice to listen into the conversation. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for letting us use your car for a moment to sit in, escape from the crowds. And well, thank you so much for telling us your dad's story.
Thank you.
And we are going to meet up again.
Okay.
I think we've got a lot more to talk about.
And when we talk a bit later, I've got a few stories, of course.
Yeah.
And we went to Newport Pagnell in 1996. So that story will come out then.
Yeah, and you met my sort of predecessor for this job, really, Roger Stowers. And we've got a lot to talk about. I've got a lot to dig into before we meet up again.
Question me on.
And also to try and work out, because I know you're not sure when your dad left, see if we can find some more evidence that might show when he was around and doing things. We've certainly found his name on a few things that are in the AMAC collection. So we'll dig a bit more and see what else we can find. But thanks so much.
Pleasure.
And lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Too. Nice to see you.
The Aston Martin Heritage Trust are here at the Vantage Celebration Day. I keep saying the V8 Vantage Day, but it isn't. It's the Vantage Celebration Day. The Trust has bought a very special car here, known as the V8 Vantage Concept, which is often in the museum. Now, Sophie, do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, sure. So this V8 Vantage concept, or the V8 Vantage, was launched at the Detroit Motor Show in January 2003. And this concept car that we've got here today was the first view of what has become the best-selling Aston Martin of all time. Yeah.
So the car often has its bonnet closed, but when you lift the bonnet, I think people will be pleasantly surprised. Well, it's not actually a V8 engine in there. At first sight, when you look at it, you think, well, it could be because it says AM V8, but it actually is it's a V12 engine from the DB7 Vantage, isn't it?
Yeah, so the bonnet was never actually open to the public in period, so they kind of didn't have any idea. But the idea was that the V12 was disguised to look like a V8, so just on the off chance it was at some point, nobody would, be able to tell the difference.
Well, that is true, because when you do lift the bonnet, at first glance, you tend to think, well, yeah, that's the V8, but they've very cleverly disguised it, haven't they?
They have, yeah, because it was built around a DB7 Vantage Volante with a shortened wheelbase. They kind of...
How often is the car at the museum?
The car hasn't actually been in the museum for the past 2 years or so.
Really?
Yeah, but we are bringing it back in August, especially for our Vantage exhibition to celebrate 75 years of Vantage, later at the end of August.
How long will that celebration last?
A long time.
There we go, scoop, long time. And we got Mike next to me. Mike,
Hi,
your
Gary.
Second name?
Atkinson, Mike Atkinson.
Mike and Atkinson, you do the tours, don't you?
Yes, yeah. I help on a Friday as a volunteer, so I do the tours with Dom.
Yeah. And so you're going to buff up your knowledge on the V8
Oh,
Vantage
definitely,
concept?
yeah. No, now
you
know
suddenly
it's
become
coming
an
in.
expert.
Yeah.
How have people been fascinated by this car?
They have, yeah. It's been amazing seeing the conversations because everybody's looking under the bonnet and going, and then reading the information panel we've got and going back to it and re-looking at it. But it's been really great to hear people, talking about it and being like, it's a V12, but no, it's a V8, but what?
Well, that's the thing with the Trust. We try to tell the stories behind these cars. So when the Vantage Celebration exhibition starts at the museum, watch it out for it on social media. And the car will be there and the display boards, and you'll get a tour with Mike and Dom telling you all about it once Mike has buffed himself up on it.
Yeah, please come and see us. We'd love to have you around the museum.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Sophie.
Thanks.
I love Googles.
So I've just bumped into a couple of friends, Andrew and Kate, both Vantage owners, and had various cars over the years. We've known each other for a long time. So tell us what car you're in today, Andrew.
Steve, GT12 Golf Edition today. Parked over there with another GT12. Very rare to see two of them together. So that was quite exciting. But yeah, Didn't have far to come, only about 15 minutes to be fair, so it wasn't a big ask. But yeah, Kate, you're in.
I'm in the V12 Vantage. Ion Blue stands out quite nicely. So yeah, and again, nice and local. So nice to come and support Gaydon. So.
Always good to support your local car factory, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And very kindly, you decided to live near your local car factory.
I know, yes, I think that was obviously done deliberately, and clearly the weather's out as well for
I know, it's
British summer. So this is a perfect day.
It's fabulous. I mean, and all these cars look stunning in this weather. I mean, you know, you look at morning frost, it really pops in this sun.
Yeah.
It is so nice to see the sparkle out of some of these paint colours. You don't really see it in the dull British summers, but today is a perfect day to show some of the shine out of these cars. Really good.
What's your favourite colour? I mean, I know we've met each other many times, so we've occasionally stood next to cars, watching them being built for you, and of all the colours you can see here today, which is like a rainbow actually when you look round, have you got any favourites at all?
I've got to say, and it's a slightly biased, but the Ion Blue that we've got is fabulous. Yeah, I've always been Cinnabar Orange. We had the Vanquish and Cinnabar Orange, which is here today with Pete from Area 5. So yeah, I think Cinnabar Orange is probably where I'm at.
Yeah, that's what I remember in particular watching with you being built around about Christmas time, I seem to remember.
It was, yeah, 2017, something like that. Yeah. No, it's that was just so different for, you know, because traditionally it's grey, silver or black, and it's just nice to see a lot of them out here, different colours, really working.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And
Loving that burble.
I know, listen to that. I mean, you know, you've got to love it, haven't you, really?
GT8 at its best there, look.
Yeah, that's got a real lovely bark to it, isn't it, when it starts up. Well, there we go. We'll let the GT8 play us out, I think. But thanks ever so much. Thank you for stopping by and saying hello. Yeah. And we'll see you soon.
Have a good one, Wooders.
Thank you. Take care. Cheers. Bye.
Growing the passion, sharing the stories. The Aston Martin Heritage Podcast.
The prominent display at the Vantage Celebration is obviously the V8 Vantages, but it is delightful to see several DB6s here, and I'm up against, is it Black?
Yes.
It is Black. What's your name?
David Hack.
David Hack, hello.
Yeah.
Hello, David. How long you had this DB6 Vantage?
40 years.
Oh my word, that's incredible.
Yeah.
All right.
Bought it as a bit of a one-off. I'm going to go out and buy a nice car, and
It stayed ever since?
yeah. So yes, 40 years.
Did you have it restored, or was it a runner at the time?
It's a bit like Trigger's broom. It's been restored a couple of times.
Okay.
As you go through life and you get sort of a little bit more money and a little bit more money, you want to do it to a bit better of a standard. So now it's sort of where I want it to be. It's not concours, but it's certainly where I want it to be. It's lovely, and
it's looking at a very sound example. So it's black.
New engine, new leather, new. All the lines have been lined up and resprayed. And
was it originally black and red?
No, it was. I've got the original build sheet on the windscreen, and it was originally a colour called platinum, which was like an old English white, I believe. And we did find that paint under the window rubbers when it was restored, so it was there. But I bought it as a black car, and I've kept it at that. And I thought,
well, it's an unusual colour, but it suits it very well, doesn't it? It shows off the detailing, lovely.
It was originally owned by David Brown Jr.
Is that the junior of David Brown?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
So he. A guy called Roger Stowers got me this back in the day, and it was the original spec sheet. But you have got to wonder whether or not in those days it was, Dad, any chance of a car, or you got one on the production line? Who knows? You know, it was. Anyway, it was sold to him, and he sold it a year later, almost to the day, just a few days before.
I happened to be reading last night. Somebody posted a spec sheet for a DB4 and some of the options that you could have. I noticed like you got a Motorola radio. That was an option.
I'm not saying it's the original one.
Not saying it's the original one. A heated rear screen was an option, and a power-operated aerial. Does that still work?
That does, but it's a newer model.
Yeah,
and the radio has been converted to, it now links with your phone, so you can play all your Spotify and everything on it.
It's such a wider world, isn't it?
But it looks the same, so it's all good.
40 years, where have you been with the car?
I took it to Arnhem this year for VE Day.
Yeah.
So we drove over to Holland and drove through Holland, and me and another pal of mine with a DB9, taking it to Reims and around northern France, and but
goes well.
Yeah, does now.
Gets hot inside, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I've been advised to get the new aluminium radiator with a fan, a bit like the old sort of Triumph Stags and that. They idle for too long, they do get hot, and temperature gauge starts going up and starts getting a bit jittery.
Any other modern enhancements done or planned?
I had power assisted steering put onto it, but the electronic version. But I was talking to a chap down there. He's got that sage green one.
Yeah.
His one had power assisted steering from original, and his is a year newer than mine. So whether or not Aston realised that they are very heavy to drive, especially. These are a lot heavier than the 5.
Perhaps they were an option at the time. I had a use of a DB6 Mark 1 Vantage, and it had power steering. I say power steering, I think it was aspirational rather than power steering as we know it these days.
Right, yeah.
Who does the servicing? Do you do it or pass it on?
It's Quantum Works do it now. The car was restored by a company called Chicane, which are a shoot-off from Richard Williams, and he's set up down in near Aldershot, I think, somewhere down that way. So he did the bodywork and leatherwork restorers, and the ironic thing was for Quantum, I put it into Quantum, they're my local Aston Martin garage, and he took all the Chicane stickers off of it and put Quantum Works stickers on it, like you do. But I quite sort of admired that, because they're a couple of young lads trying to make a living for themselves.
All right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
David, thank you very much.
Yep, you're more than welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris, good to see you.
Hello there. Hi, Steve. How you doing?
Very well, thanks, Chris. Yeah. So we have known each other for quite a while, but we were like ships in the night. I joined the company as you were leaving it back in 1990, and then we kind of got to know each other face to face probably, I don't know, about 5-6 years ago, something like that. Absolutely. Maybe, but we've been in touch ever since. And you've actually become an Aston Martin owner yourself.
I have, yes. It's amazing. When I was about 7 years old, I used to go past the factory with my mum and dad, looking at these DB6 Mark IIs and a few DBSs going by, and I just fell in love with Aston Martins, and I became an Aston Martin sticker rock, I think, from the age of 7. And then when I was 20, I went to Newport Pagnell, as I did on a regular basis, to get some brochures. And I stood at reception waiting to see if I could get one of these famous brochures. And Colin Thew walked through, and he said to me, you look an enthusiast, because I've got Aston Martin hat, Aston Martin t-shirt, probably underpants on as well, everything with Aston Martin on it. And he said, have you ever thought about working here? And I was quite shocked. And anyway, I had an interview with Kingsley, Colin, and then eventually with Victor Gauntlet. Victor Gauntlet, as I'm sure you know, was one of these people, if you met him for just 1 minute, you would never forget him for the rest of your life. He was one of the last of the knights, and a very patriotic gentleman. And I remember going into his office, and the first thing he said to me, he says, "Hello, come in." He says, "What on earth do you want to work at this dump for?" And I was really quite surprised by that comment. But we sat down, had a 10-minute chat, and I ended up in Sunnyside, in the back room next to Jeff Courtney and Roger Stowers, and I was there in the office and couldn't believe it. I remember sitting at the desk looking at these Aston Martin posters and Aston Martin models in the room and just thinking, I can't believe I'm here. And part of my main job was factory tours, pre-delivery inspections of the cars. Some of the cars that are here today, I was probably the sort of last one in before they went to the customer, sorting out the keys and the codes and things. And then after a while, I loved the factory tours, never ever got bored of meeting the staff, taking the customers around, seeing the cars, everyone being bespoke obviously. And then I ended up in tech pubs where I printed some of the manuals and some of the instruction manuals, sneakily put my initials on one or two of them so I know which ones I printed, and printing. So I was printing and tech pubs. And then I left in about 1990.
Yeah, so
loved every minute.
We just missed each other. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then you bought a V8 yourself.
I did.
A few years ago.
Yeah, that was surreal. I've been buying and selling classic cars, about 17 different weird and wonderful cars over the years, doing them up, making a few bob. And the last car I had was a World War II Willys Jeep. And it wasn't for sale, but a gentleman contacted me, a gentleman called Martin Duckworth, and he said to me, have you any information on a Jeep so you can help me buy one? And I said, mine's not for sale, but come round. And he turned up in an Aston Martin Rapide, lovely car. We got chatting, went out in the Jeep, and he came back and he said, what's your not for sale price? So I told him a price and he agreed. And ironically, literally the day before, we'd been watching the telly and some James Bond music came on. And my eldest son Ryan said to me, and he said, I can just imagine you and Mum driving down to the south of France in an Aston Martin. And I said, well, that never happened, sadly. I said, I can't really afford it, but we'll never say never. And that was the very next day when this gentleman phoned up. I sold the Jeep, and ironically, that night we were going to Portsmouth for a weekend for my birthday. And that night, a car came up to the car I wanted, the same money that I'd just sold the Jeep for. And on my birthday, I bought my V8 Vantage. And I got its nickname Godzilla, and I love it.
Well, it's a great story, isn't it? And you're one of the few employees that's owned an Aston over the years, and you are, you've always been a passionate Aston man. I know you for your Aston knowledge and enthusiasm, and also your World War II stuff. I know you mentioned the Jeep there, and I remember you having a Jeep many years ago, which I think was used in the Memphis Belle movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, I've had a Studebaker from the World War II, and 3 or 4 Jeeps. And there's a nice link there, obviously, because David Brown Engineering got involved with the proper propeller reduction gear on a lot of the Merlins.
Yeah, exactly. Lots of other links in World War II. But it's great to see you, Chris. Thanks ever so much for stopping and chatting. And enjoy your car, enjoy your Aston enthusiasm. Thank you.
Right, just wandering around again, and we're at a rather delicious V8 Vantage, is it, Gary?
Yes, 2021.
2021. Owned from you or pre-owned?
No, pre-owned. I had a Bentley GT and a part exchanged it for that.
Wise man.
Very wise. When I bought it, I was very disappointed because it only had the single exhaust pipes on it. The guy had specced it up in this beautiful pearlescent white, which was a £6,000 option, but he left the little pea shooters on the end. So it sounded dreadful. And I phoned 3 or 4 places up to change the exhaust system. One was Appleby, and the other one, as you can see, is Quicksilver. And
they're a bit saucy, aren't they?
Yeah, well, what I did was there was a place in Leeds that was a Quicksilver specialist, and he explained to me, just done an Aston there, if you wanted to listen to it, how it sounded, he'd had its secondary decap taken off, a full Quicksilver system put on. So I actually went across, saw the car, listened to the car, absolutely sounded epic. So I ummed and ahed about buying it because it was quite expensive, and before I went and bought it, I asked the guy that just had it fitted, has he been on the phone? He went, yes. So I said, was there a problem? He went, no. He said, I could have spent £5,000, lose £5,000 on the car, put the exhaust on it, now I've got the car of my dreams, it sounds epic. Yeah. So that's what I did.
So it's your first Aston?
It is, yes.
So you came from a Bentley GT, you say?
Yes.
It's a different car, isn't it, GT to this?
Totally. I had one of those itches that I had to scratch, and I'd always wanted GT speed. And I had an X5 before that. I went and bought Bentley. So yeah, this came up at the right sort of money. It just on 6,000 miles when I bought it. It had the 5-year service plan with it, had the warranty with it, and I've had it just over 12 months and put 11,000 miles in it, just using it on a Sunday.
That is a joy to hear. I do get fed up with hearing of garage queens. So you got to use the cars. People get obsessed with saying it's going to lose money, but I mean, you're just looking after the car for somebody else, aren't you?
Of course you are. And my friend, he's got the AMR 59. He's had it 2 years. He's done 2,000 miles. I saw yesterday he'd put a post up hibernating my car. It's the middle of August. What a waste.
What a waste. You've got to use the car. So where have you been on those 11,000 miles?
Oh, we go Harrogate, Yorkshire, Cheshire, down to Wales, everywhere.
Good driving roads?
Yeah, apart from Wales when you can only do 20 mile an hour.
Yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it?
So when you go up to the Lake District round there, it's pretty good. I just had it, it was originally 505 brake. So when I had the exhaust system done, I've just had it remapped. It's now 625 brake, 800 foot of torque.
Pedals.
Oh yes, it's what I would call bike quick. I ride bikes as well, and it's just as quick as a bike.
Great. Well, glad you found sense and moved over from Bentley to Aston Martin. This must be one of your first Aston Martin events, isn't it?
No, I've been to a couple. I've been to lots of car shows.
Yeah.
But this is the only one I've actually been where it's all Astons, which has been fantastic.
Perfect. Great to see you, Gary.
Take care.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your time.
Bye-bye.
Well, today is all about, or for me anyway, is all about meeting up with old friends. And I've just bumped into a couple of people that we've known each other for many, many years. And we had a lot of fun in particular when they both bought a very special car each. In fact, you guys have got 2 out of the 3 cars that were built. Graham, do you want to tell us a little bit more about the story of this one?
The story of this one is we, both Ian and myself, both had V12 Roadsters. 101 I think it was, wasn't it, in 2012-13, and we thought they were the last of the manual V12s, and of course then Aston Martin made a new V12 in a roadster form, and we managed to agree with Aston Martin to make some Q editions, and it's called the Good Things edition. 3 cars have some similarities across the cars, but unique to all the individuals. And they're all V12, they're all roadsters, all manuals, 2 Zafras and 1 Sterling Green.
Sterling Green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And very, very special cars.
Yeah.
And we're stood next to one of them now. This is your car, Ian, isn't it?
It is.
And just describe to those that are listening what the colour scheme is.
The colour scheme is Zafra, which was the standard colour for the blue AMR version, except Graham and our car have different accents on it. Graham has orange and I have Kaminsky yellow. That also means that our interiors are different from the standards as well, which is basically ours is black on black with yellow accents to it. GT12 door cards, full carbon waterfall, and lots of AMR accents on it. We have carbon foils on the side with AMR on it, because when we first ordered them, the car didn't have an AMR badge on it, so we just thought it would be nice to have that put on. We also have on the inside around the gearbox, good thing comes to those who wait, and that was Jonathan, the third Amigo, came up with that, as it was quite a long time in gestation, and it was a fantastic experience, because I think Aston showed itself to be different from, I can't think of any other manufacturer, because they dealt with a very difficult situation very well and allowed us to feel that we were involved in the design of the AMR. They took on quite a lot of our ideas. The only one that we really wanted that they didn't take on was we wanted it called, not AMR, we wanted it called the V600. And it became fairly apparent why it wasn't taken on when the V600 7 cars, 7 roadsters came out, which were very significant models in themselves.
Yeah, and I say that's just a little bit later on in this sort of story, isn't it? Really, I mean, these cars we're talking about the very last of the V8 Vantage and the V12s in particular. And I'm looking at your car, Ian, and I'm just remembering the day when it was being painted, and I think, or it had been painted. You were coming in to see the car on the production line for the first time, and I remember having to pretty much drive through the snow to get to the factory, and was then told stories about people walking through fields of snow to get into the factory to paint your car so we could get it on the line. So it's funny, isn't it, how you sort of you forget these things and it all comes flooding back, you know. But what a great car. I mean, they really are lovely, aren't they? And also we did another thing that was quite unusual, and I don't think it's ever happened again. We got your 3 cars into the reception area at Gaydon, and you all drove them in one by one, which I think you are the only owners to ever drive your own car into the Aston Martin factory at Gaydon.
I think what was fantastic about that day was you completely cleared the atrium apart from the clay model of the Valkyrie. And we have pictures of the 3 cars side by side, and Aston had won the Le Mans that year. So we had the Le Mans trophy in front of the cars. It's a day that I just don't think you can replicate things like that, and it will stay with us for years and years. We also got given on that day the specimen boxes with all the different coloured materials, and I know, Graham, on the inside, your rotary switches, you'd had orange accents added to those.
That was a battle to get Q to do those.
Early days of Q as well, wasn't it?
It was very early days, and we had a number of meetings with them. But they were fantastic. Obviously, they had internal battles. Manufacturing want to do some things, and they don't want to do other things. But they fought our corner on lots of different things. But all these details brought the car together to make it the unique proposition it is today. And probably the great thing, the testament to these 3 cars, they're still with the original owners.
Yeah.
And that's a really big thing. That's how special the cars are.
It's so lovely to be stood here, and I can glance around. I see quite a few cars I can remember watching being built. And that's just fabulous, isn't it? And even better when the people who they were built for still own the cars as well. Fabulous, absolutely fabulous. Thanks so much for talking to us. And enjoy the rest of your day. And we will have a reunion at some point. I can feel a 10-year reunion coming on.
Jonathan first.
Exactly. If you're listening, Jonathan, get in touch. You know who to talk to. Yeah, thanks ever so much, Ian. Thanks, Graham.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, as I live and breathe, I've just stumbled across Les Goble. Hello, Les.
Hello, lovely to see you again.
And you, how are you doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Yes, I thought we'd better pop up and see all the Vantages. Brings back so many memories.
I'm sure it does. Were you involved in any point at the V8 Vantage launch, the Gaydon version?
Oh gosh, yes, yeah. Did a lot of driving. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember the first brand video for the V8 Vantage. It was the car being driven around the Nordschleife,
right,
in the pouring rain. So that was one of my early introductions to it. And they said, "Oh, just be careful. It's going to the Geneva Motor Show straight afterwards." So caution was.
What colour was that car?
Metallic silver.
Metallic silver, because
Yes.
I think Dr. Bex was referring to a yellow one on the stand at the Geneva Motor Show. So,
right. No, this was
so
a
it's a
silver
development car.
Yeah, it was a development car. Yeah. And then of course we did lots of filming with prototype cars for the performance driving course.
Now that's where your specialism is. What was your title at the time?
Performance driving executive.
You were listed.
We actually took the car to the 3 venues. So we had Millbrook in the UK, Lommel in Belgium, and Michigan Proving Ground in North America.
Yeah. What was your first impressions of the car? Because this was going to be a Porsche 911 competitor. It's going to be a sports car, as opposed to in the past, it's always been GTs with Astons, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the first impression was it very much was going to be a sports car. You can see by the wheelbase. It's a very square wheelbase.
Yeah.
And we knew straight away it would handle well. So it was really the V8 Vantage that led us to introducing the on-track program, which we took around the world for customers to drive.
Well, it also led to quite an impressive racing career for the Vantage, didn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. Raced a GT4 myself. So very impressive.
Didn't you?
Yes, that brings more memories.
More memories. I think we could do a whole podcast on you, can't we? Well, we have done one with you because we took out a
Vanquish.
It was a Vanquish, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
The Newport Pagnell.
And you went with Steve Waters with a Vantage, Newport Pagnell Vantage, I think,
Yes,
a Le Mans one, wasn't it?
Again, it was about how easy that car is to drive.
Yeah.
Once you understand the mechanics of it and have mechanical sympathy, it's actually easier to drive than a manual car.
Yeah. What's your favourite of the V8? So you say manual. What was your impression of the flappy gearbox?
I would never ever call it that. I actually love sport shift, and in fact, when V12 Vantage came out, that was manual only.
Yeah.
And then they introduced V12S, which had the sport shift gearbox, and it was really impressive. And what really struck me, we were doing customer days at different racetracks. We did a day at Brands Hatch, a day at Spa, and I remember driving down to Brands Hatch, driving in the V12S, around the M25, the same old traffic jams as you expect, and it was effortless.
Yes.
Because you're not pushing a heavy clutch in and changing gear. It's all done for you.
What was it like for you when they put the V12 into the Vantage? that such an uplift of a car.
Right. So I actually drove the very first V12 prototype, and literally they just stuffed the V12 engine into the V8 Vantage and then take it for a drive on the road, and the suspension was horrendous. It just couldn't cope. But I must admit, driving, you thought, wow, this has got the potential for a fabulous car. And it was, wasn't it?
It turned out to be.
Yeah,
one, didn't it?
absolutely. Yeah, love that.
Do you give feedback to the development team when you're driving, especially like the V12 Vantage and even the early V8s? You went back to it.
Yeah. All the cars we were feeding back to the engineering team, especially. I don't know if you remember, we did dealer training for V8 and the 4.3 and the 4.7 down at Ascari in southern Spain.
Okay.
And of course, we're using
It's a tough job to hit you.
Yeah, it was a tough job. It was warm, and of course, we spent a lot of time with the car going around the racetrack. So we could feed a lot of stuff back there, especially suspension settings.
Yeah. Fantastic. How was let's go to the GT4 racing career. How did that turn out for you?
Yeah, we only did a limited, I think we did 3 or 4 seasons in that.
How did you do in those? What was your best result?
I can't remember. We got on the podium. Yeah.
Well, that's a result.
Yeah, it was.
So at least third.
I think the other thing is they were really big grids.
Yeah. They were, weren't they?
So where are all the cars today?
9.
Exactly.
9.
I think it's just sheer expensive, isn't it?
The last time we had a really good, massive grid was the centenary race at Brands Hatch in 2013. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, we had a
ago.
lot of GT4 racing there.
Yeah.
And that's the weekend I raced George Miller's DB4 and won the race.
You're a bit of a demon behind the wheel, aren't you? What are you up to these days, Gles?
I've stopped doing factory tours now, and so I'm fully retired. But funnily enough, I'm still racing the DB4. In fact, we're at Silverstone on Thursday, giving it a shakedown.
Right.
Ready for the 6-hour race at Spa in September.
We can't stop you, can we?
No. All the time I can keep getting a race license. Please don't stop me.
Les, great talking to you.
And to you.
You're having a great time seeing all these cars.
Yeah, like I say, I'm walking around with Wendy. Of course, Wendy used to run all the dealer training.
Yes, she did, didn't she?
Yeah, man. She had that 4.3 litre engine built, the cutaway. So we'll talk, see if we can see that anywhere.
All right. Thanks, Les.
Lovely to chat.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
So, Gary, it's Steve here, walking around the Vantage Day at Gaydon. And I got about 20 feet into the entrance and I bumped into someone I knew straight away. Kirsty, good to see you again. Kirsty, tell everybody who you are and what you used to do.
Yeah, hi, Kirsty McManus, as I am now, was Kirsty Edder when I worked at Aston. I started my days on DB7 back up at Bloxham. I think the best days of Aston Martin, and when they were hand-beating panels down at Newport Pagnell, like 1 car a week.
Yeah, exactly. 1 car a week it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, magic days. Compared to Gaydon, it changed things dramatically, I think. So I miss those days.
Yeah, and what did you used to do, Kirsty? Just tell us what you used to do.
Yeah, so I joined when I was about 22 as a buyer, and I was buying soft interiors, so the leather from Connolly's, Alcantara, and I moved on to interior systems buyer when we moved to Gaydon, and then I became a program coordinator. So dramatic changes over the years, but and I left in 2010.
Wow. I mean, I remember working with you when I was a buyer. So I guess we're going back to the 90s, aren't we? We're mid-90s as buyers. And back in those days, we were making, as you say, very, very small numbers. I think it was 2001 or 2 when by the time we made 1,000 cars in 1 year.
Yeah.
And here we are today with thousands of cars built ever since, really. And also you've got another interest because you and your husband have actually got a car as well, I believe.
Well, my partner, he's got an Aston Martin Vantage, and just being here today and seeing all the other Vantages, we're looking maybe for an upgrade now. But yeah, it's nice to be here today and sort of. I think with Aston Martin, it evokes so much passion for people. I think if you have an Aston, you love the brand. And being here for me, 18 years after I left the company, I still have that same passion. So yeah.
Brilliant. Well, it's lovely to bump into you again. And thanks for coming on the microphone to have a chat. And look after yourself and I'll see you soon.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Steve.
Take care. Cheers, Kirsty.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
This is Gary. Gary does the Aston Martin podcast.
Hi, Gary. Hello.
Have a seat.
That's all right. We're on to a good start already. Here we go.
Can I get you a beer?
No, I'm all right at the moment.
Why?
Thank you very much.
He's got a bar here.
He's got a bar here, isn't it? It's marvellous. No, I'm actually fine. Thank you very much. Okay. Yes, sorry, remind me your name?
Steve Bolton.
Steve Bolton. Keith said that you've rebuilt the engines on these things.
No. Ray built the engines. I built the cars.
You built the cars. How long you had this one?
I've had this one now 18 months. But both me and Ray were part of the team that built and developed them 25 years ago.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So Ray knows all about. He's built every engine. He can point out differences between different cars, different engines. Yeah, we were privileged to be able to work on these cars in Newport Pagnell 25 years ago. Couldn't afford it until my pension came in, which I then cashed in to buy this car. So
I think that's a very sensible thing to do.
I'm sitting next to my pension.
Perfect. So can you describe the car for the listeners?
It's a cross between a Virage Volante and a Vantage supercharged. So there were no of the supercharged era cars, be those 550 or 600s, which were built as convertibles. Only 8 were ever made. At the last of the run before the Newport Pagnell factory was taken apart to prepare it for Vanquish. And Kingsley Ridingfelds and Keith here were responsible for going out and pre-selling a space to build 8 cars at the end of the run. So there were 8 cars built, which were the last of the hand-built Newport Pagnell cars ever made to leave Newport before the factory was turned over to building Vanquishes. And then there were 8 cars made. This is number 7, so it's technically the second off the last car ever to leave Newport, so quite a rare Vantage.
Oh, that's a marvellous story, and it's such a delight to see it here. How long was you at Newport Pagnell for?
I was at Newport Pagnell, and I was there about 10 years. I then moved over to Gaydon and was there a further 10 years.
Yeah. Was it all bodywork you've been dealing with?
No, I was started off as chassis, so ride and handling, brakes, suspension. I then inherited transmission and driveline, and sort of looked after that side of it.
Any plans for it? What's the plans for your pension?
It needs a little bit of care and attention. It's unlike a lot of Astons, it's actually done a lot of miles. It's done 50,000 miles over its life, which isn't a lot from modern cars, but for Aston it's probably quite a high mileage, so it's going to need to be brought back up to a pristine condition, which we'll do over the next few years.
How did you manage to locate the car? Because obviously it sounds it's something that you really did want.
It came about the very, very rare. Keith knows the owner who managed to sell it, so it was a one-owner car from new. And he told me that it was available. I didn't even need to know the price. I just went out and started trying to find the funds.
Perfect. All right. So I see Ray's talking.
We'll get him for you. Excuse me, Raymond. Sorry to disturb.
Just having Ray come over. What's his name?
Ray Brown.
Ray Brown. You known him a long time?
Far too long. Ever since he was an annoying apprentice. Now he's an annoying big friend.
You're not going to be annoying to me. Hello, I'm Gary Taylor from the Aston Martin Heritage Trust podcast. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Right. So he's told me that you're very annoying, but I'm sure you're not going to.
Always am.
Yeah. So you're on. You have built. Well, there's nothing you don't know about the V8 engines. Is that right?
On the old, 2 and 4 valve. I think I know a little bit.
You know a little bit.
Everything.
Yeah.
Never say anything. You know everything.
Right. Well, it's always learning.
Exactly.
What did you do? So you're at Newport Pagnell. What were you doing there?
I was an apprentice for 4 years in the service department, and then moved forward within the service department. I worked in engineering with Steve at Newport, and now left in 2013 to go and work in engineering at Gaydon.
Okay. Right. You're there now, are you?
I am still at Aston Martin in Wellesbourne, part of the engineering of Gaydon.
So how long have you been at Aston Martin for in total, you think?
35 years.
Good grief. Okay, right. Let's go to this engine on this one. Shall we just walk over to it? Now, I'm going to be politically incorrect and say that's a proper engine, isn't it?
I would do.
It's got a couple of...
And I reckon there's someone else that should join us. Mr. Peach, who knew this gentleman who built this engine, Mr. Thurston.
Terry Durston,
So you've now got an engine builder from Newport as well.
Built the most engines, did you not?
No, Durston did.
Terry Durston built more than me.
He built over 500,
He
Terry.
got to 500. I was just shy of 400 engines.
There we go.
Now you've got us all.
You've got us all. This is fantastic.
Very good health.
Very good health. How long are you at Newport Pagnell for?
Nearly 40 years in total.
Yeah.
I got my nameplate in 81. I think I got my nameplate.
Is that a magic moment? You getting nameplate?
Of course it is. Yeah. You're building engines.
Yeah, but I only had service. I never got production.
Didn't you?
No, but I got 6.3
when
Rowans.
When we stopped building the V8s, I went back over to work service, where I modified some engines, but then I went on to quality control.
Yeah.
Good way of putting it. I think that's the best way of putting it. Can't put it any other.
Okay.
This is going out to people, you know this.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, well, it's live. Channel 4, please do not swear. I was just saying, this is a proper looking engine, isn't it? A couple of bolted on superchargers there.
Superchargers.
And they're only ticking over producing the power, really. So Arthur said.
What? 500 brake horse?
Yeah.
Is that what these did? 500? No,
That was 550 and this then became 600.
600.
Yeah.
So this was the last of the generation of the V8s.
The V8s.
Newport V8s.
Yeah.
Obviously we've got other V8s now.
What's your favourite? I've got to say, what's your favourite engine? It sounds a crass thing. Would you think it's the sweetest engine, sweetest V8 Newport Pagnell? Is it the supercharge?
I want to say what I believe you would say and our dear friend Rigger would say. The best ever V8 they ever did. A 540 Vantage.
Yeah.
Why would that be?
It's just a nice engine.
It was a nice engine. Powerful engine. So 540 Vantage, as Alan Shackle would say, or beloved Rigger would say, it was in the original V8 lightweight car before they put the woods and all the insulation in it. It was a smoother running engine to tune, keep running, and it was a far smoother, but it had the power and the speed that the Vantage was.
Yeah.
As the car got heavier, they had to increase the power. Hence why you had the 580, then the 580X.
Yeah, you got the more high lift cams, didn't you? And once you had those high lift cams, the engine became a little bit more sort of uneven.
Not smooth idle, but not smooth as a 540, but it always wanted to be open throttle. It derived from the race cars in the end, which is having high lift cams, and that's where all the power came in. But then again, from that, then you get to these. And Arthur did say some of the development of this came from the Popemobile. You know, the John Pope Special?
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? I've heard of that.
That was a DBS engine done by a farmer, so great respect, with a club hand. And he made the DBS, put a Vauxhall body on it. I can't remember what Vauxhall.
Yeah.
But he got the engine, and Dave Morgan, Arthur, and put the engine on the dyno at Newport, and they saw 948 horsepower out of a lone DBS engine. So it was ridiculous. Yeah, it was I'll never forget the figure. It's just because it weren't 1,000. He just said it was 948. All right, Arthur, you know what you're talking about. I'll never argue with you. But he just said it was 948 horsepower. That's what he told me. But it was a lot of power.
I wonder if the car would last that long. Would the engine last though?
They had to bring the turbos in separate because it used to twist the chassis. Or something like that. Something like that, I don't know. That was on that Vauxhall. Well, the DBS with a Vauxhall body.
Okay, just to wrap it up, the drink is flowing. What was it like towards the last few days of Newport Pagnell? I remember going to there when Kingsley was wrapping it up. Well, that was wrapping it up with Dr. Betts, wasn't it?
Yeah. Kingsley, very nice guy. I don't, I'm not going to say when the production closed because, so I'd gone over to the work service by then.
To the other side.
I did go to the other side, yeah. And, it was sad to see it close down. Very sad, yeah. I think it
was quite sad for everybody, really.
Yeah. You got one of the bricks?
I've got 4 at home.
I've got 2 bricks. Yeah.
Remember they're sitting there with John stamping the old plates on?
Yeah.
So that all went to charity. So
yeah.
I think there were 1,500 bricks,
something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question now. Engines and Aston Martins these days. Do you have a view that can be broadcast?
The newer Astons, I don't know much about them at all.
Yeah.
I'm not, au fait with them at all.
And you're...
They're perfect.
They're perfect.
Of course they are.
Just like this conversation. Perfect. And on that note, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time.
We have to have a laugh.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Growing the passion, sharing the stories. The Aston Martin Heritage Podcast.
I'm delighted to have with me Dr. Betts, who was the CEO at Aston Martin Lagonda from July 2000 to February 2014. And thereafter in 2015, you became chairman. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
It's incredible that it's 20 years of Vantage, isn't it?
They look still terribly good.
They do. They still look tremendous.
I must say, if you see all this car here and you see the simplicity of the shape, the refinement, the detailing, the understated power and elegance, I like it.
Your Vantage history, because we're here to celebrate Vantage in its name. Your Vantage involvement started with the DB7 Vantage. It became the GTs, didn't it? So you came in and it was just the DB7 Vantage.
What's the DB7?
And you immediately thought this needed sharpening up.
Yeah, we needed still sales for the dealers and for the company before we could launch new cars, before we could launch a DB9 own platform and all the other stuff. So DB7 was in the first set the car, and I am relatively proud that the last 2 years of DB7 Vantage GT were the highest sales, which is quite unusual if a car runs out of production. Normally the last years sales dropped down, but with DB7 GT the quality was great, and of course the usability was great, but it was still this DB7. So it was DB7 Vantage.
On the GT versions of the Vantage, what was the essential changes that you brought in on that? It was mainly chassis, wasn't it?
I think there is no big change. There are small tweaks and trims where you just improve everything, but there's not one thing where I said, this was the big step in the suspension, in the brakes. Of course, the brakes were a little bit better. The engine power was a little bit more, and the build quality and the reliability was better than before. And I think that's it. That's why a DB7 in the last 2 years actually are very good cars.
Yes, I think they're probably the most collectible, most desirable of the DB7 range. I think the GT versions. Yeah. Let's move on to the V8 Vantage. Now, the DB9 had been launched. I think the press referred to it as the baby Aston. Was that always in the mix? Did you find there was always needed to be another car I'm not sure below DB9 or below DB7, was there always a need to have a bigger volume car?
Look, I coming from Porsche, and if you look at a Porsche 911 at this time and before, it was a tiny car compared with if you have today a Porsche from 2000 or 1950. It's a small car compared to what it is today. And I always was very favorite in it needs to be a tailored suit. A sports car needs to be a tailored suit, and that does not need any space, any something. And a DB9 is a grand tour, not as the characteristic sports car in itself. Needed something for Aston Martin, and in Aston Martin we had in 1954 to 90 something the DB24. In the DB24 with a big tailgate. In a compact size was in my mind when I looked for a more agile, a smaller Aston Martin, and then of course we needed a volume to be able to survive ourselves, to be profitable with this, and this is not possible if you go only to bigger ones and to the more expensive, the volume always smaller. So you need a base. Yeah, and then there was my thing, we need a competition to the most successful sports car, Porsche 911.
Porsche 911.
And an alternative, a more exclusive alternative, alternative which performs as well, has maybe a better build quality than Porsche. Porsche build quality was never that great. They were good, but not leading or not excellent. But it was the car with just driving, tight, reliable, fast to drive, and this is why in the beginning with the V8 platform, it was very clear that it has to be starting from a DB9, but the DB9 has to be expanded to a DBS and further to a four-door car, and it has to downgrade to a V8, a smaller car, and then of course some of this more sportier version which did really then races. So this was the very beginning of the V8 platform. So it was not so coming when we say, oh, we could have something. No, this was the business plan was incorporating the vents, smaller, bigger, more sportier.
I think the revolution in it was with the V8 platform. I think it just gave Aston Martin the flexibility to do so much. I think it's well known before the current Vantage, as we know and love, there was I'm not going to say a mid-engine Vantage, because the V8 Vantage is actually mid-engine. It just happens to be front mid-engine. Right. Yeah. But when people refer to a mid-engine car, they tend to think of it as like behind the rear seats. That's the and that was in progress, wasn't it? When you came in, I believe it was like that was a rear-engined Aston Martin, and that wasn't nothing to do with the V8.
I'm smiling a little bit, but at this time, Aston Martin was 100% subsidiary from Ford.
Yes.
And Ford had this PHE group with Jaguar Land Rover and so on.
Yeah.
And Wolfgang Reitzle was there leading. And Wolfgang Reitzle, let me say, who had not the time to really look in Aston Martin, in what Aston Martin, what the sports car could be. So he gave a target that said, oh, you should develop a real mid-engine car. Not looking at the whole picture. And when I came and I looked at it and said, this is not the base to be sustainable, to be resilient to what happens in the world. It's too expensive. We can only make this car can make more power, but that's all. And we need more. We need a proper. And when I called Wolfgang Reitzle that I go and stop this was this nice thing. It's a good management. And he said, Uli, but I have asked to do this. I have advised to do this. He said, it doesn't matter if you have said this, but it's not right, because we can't not do this thing, have synergies. And he said, Uli, you are the boss. You are there.
Yeah.
You make the right things.
Right.
Thank you. And this is how this has happened. So if you as a boss recognize that for our overall target, look, as an engineer, it's wonderful to make a real mid-engine car and make it, but we have to look at business case. We had to look at something where Aston Martin could survive and even survive without Ford Motor Company. Now, in the meantime, some changes, but at the time, when we, in 2007, 2008, when we made 7,200 cars, 4,200 Vantages, this was the base to be profitable.
Yeah.
And this business is terrible, is terrible competitive, because in the moment you make something really good, and this is what happens actually when we made Vantage V12, more power, Porsche Turbo. So Porsche, big company, what did they do? They put a little bit more power, turbo pressure in it. It's more fast, and actually, I could, from a size, not compete in this case with Porsche, but I could compete with Porsche with special solutions, with special thing, more individual, more personal, smaller volume, but still usable, and so on. So this was, so I wasn't. I mean, I have learned in Porsche. I grew up.
Yes, of course. Yes,
I had my first jobs in Porsche and be in the workshop and do things, and I have lived the Porsche idea.
Yes, yes.
Aston Martin needed to come out of this. A few something.
Yeah.
When you know,
it's incredible they made so few cars in those days, isn't it?
Under David Brown, 25 years, 7,500 cars. In 2007, we made 7,000 something cars.
Yes.
So just to say what is here, but this was never a volume which was profitable. We have probably nice cars, but then if you don't have the money, you can even not make the quality or make the performance. You cannot do what needs to be.
Yeah.
And in the England and the Aston Martin, the British, more British than Rolls-Royce or Bentley at this time, more tinier, needed to come to Europe, to America, more to America, and to in the world, and not have 60-70% of the sales in England. It's great. It's not sufficient to have run a profitable company. So you need to be competitive in America. You need to be competitive in Europe, and to bring somebody from a Porsche 911, who also like Aston Martin, they are owners who have the 10th Porsche 911.
Yes.
It's just Porsche, and bring them to the point where they say, okay, there's too many of those here. I need something. I need an alternative. I need an alternative to satisfy my needs of being special people.
Do you think, this is interesting, because you was here at last year's Aston Martin Heritage Festival, and I think you mentioned this, that probably up until the Vantage, which started to add the volume to the business, companies like Porsche and others didn't really consider Aston Martin as competition. I suspect that when the Vantage came out, and latterly the V12 Vantage, which I'll come into in a moment, they started to take Aston Martin seriously. Do you think that?
And I was head of engineering at Porsche. I would never have looked at an Aston Martin as anything what is worth to look at. From performance, for quality, from whatever. Why should I? This was not a competition. And this thinking was for sure in Porsche. No. But then at some stage, they started to buy cars.
Yes.
Some example was, I think, was with a Vanquish, when we had the quality problems with Vanquish solved with the transmission and all of those things in 2003 or so, Ferdinand Piëch bought a Vanquish. Ferdinand Piëch has the key Volkswagen Porsche leader, the engineering per se.
Yes.
He bought a Vanquish. And look, and the next thing is Piëch came every year on our stand in Geneva, and he was there and asked me to show him what we are doing. This is the utmost respect I could have for Aston Martin and what I am doing. If a person,
that's marvelous, isn't it?
I want to see what you are doing,
yes,
and how you are doing. So it's just, and this is when we came in mind also with Porsche, but volume-wise, we could not compete this, of course not.
Just going to pedal back a bit to the Vantage itself. I think there's some confusion who is being credited with the design of it. Was it Ian Callum or Fiscal? Was it a combination of the two, do you feel?
It's not a combination. it is. I have outspoken this with Ian Callum, and finally when he showed his show car, his Callum
design,
Vanquish at some stage, he came to me and said, "Kuli, is it now okay what I'm doing here in the design?" So going back in 2001. When I was not happy with the Vanquish and with lots of parts there and so on.
Yeah.
And we had a discussion like here, and Henrik said, Ian said, okay, you're right. There are things, this is not right, this is not right, this is not, I can make a suggestion. We were under time pressure, but 2 months later, Ian came and said, "Uli, I have no idea. Yeah, I can't do it better." And for me, this was the end of a relation.
Yes.
You cannot talk with me and say, "You're right, it's a mistake, but I cannot do it better." 2 months later, with a time which then that would not allow to make the changes because you need to get on with the car. I said, "Okay, I cannot." For me, the design in Aston Martin was like the technology itself, but design was a very important part.
Yeah.
So I built the design studio, you know this, and
yes,
so I had every day I had a half an hour in the design studio. Look at this, see it, tell the designer what I see, and let him go with these different eyes. And a good design is a management process. This is not a designer sitting in his small room and make things and make. This will never be good. It is a communication between a management who understands something from a design. And if you ask Marek Reichman today, he will totally agree to this. It's a management thing to make great designs. Examples are in all areas. So when this confidence with Ian broke, I said, okay, I need somebody else. And this was when I approached Henrik, who was at BMW at this time. And Henrik was too expensive for me because we had basically no money. So, and this is when Wolfgang Reiste helped me out with this and said, okay, I hire him in Soho in the design studio there. He can work totally for you, but I'll take half the cost.
Okay.
so and this is then Henrik Fisker. And the next thing what I can prove, all the Astons under my line, they had all the hood going forwards and they had no bumper fascia. The new cars or the cars today, they have a bumper fascia.
Yes.
In all other cars have bumper fascias, and the bumper fascia come basically from a barrier test and all of those things, no damage. But and this was Hendrik's driver, he wanted the hood running through. Every engineer said, "Oh, it's not possible because we have to meet the bumper test." And I, as an engineer, engineering solution to meet this, but we fight. So we were the only car company, and still, who had a hood running to the front.
Yes.
And this was characterized our cars. And this was Henrik Fisker. And Henrik Fisker fought for this. This is why I say this is not Ian Callum.
Right.
Because from there, with this hood, everything else follows in comes. So it's Henrik.
Right.
Yeah. And Henrik, the problem with Henrik was that he was so good. He was so good that Ford said, "This is too good for Aston Martin. We need Henrik in Dearborn."
Yes.
You cannot, and they insisted that they have to hire him. Then Henrik said, "I don't want to work for Ford. I quit." So
okay.
this is a story about Henrik.
There's a story here, and of course, then Marek comes in. Okay.
Yeah, we had a great relationship in making the designs, making rapid, making everything.
Well, he was, of course, you and him were involved in. It sounds incredible in Aston Martin's history. Through you, they opened up their very first dedicated design studio, didn't they?
Yeah.
Aston Martin had, because all up to then always had to share with somebody else, and and you launched the V12 Vantage there, the RS concept or something, wasn't it?
The concept car. Because I said, this was not only engineering and the office of engineers, design is a key element of Aston Martin.
Yes.
And this can't come from somewhere. And I was basically open. I had engaged in finding DB9s and also Rapids. I had Giugiaro, I had Bertone doing for relatively cheap concept cars where I could try with the Aston Martin 2020 from Giugiaro on the base of a DB7 to demonstrate that you can have a DB7 base, but you can have a completely different design on this. Means if we have a good base, we can make different bodies and different stuff out of this. And from Bertone, the Bertone Jet was before we make the Rapide, to see if we could make a fastback station car. But I thought I don't like it at this time, so it is a Rapide, and this is where I must say the first cars from the Rapide with Marek, they were of course inside seatings, high end and so on. That was good. But when I go in the design, I said, Marek, this is too low. The car is too low. It's so, and he looks at this in my hands and he understands, and then he make a little bit a different shape.
Right.
That's not much. It's maybe 20 minutes. But then suddenly the car became honest, serious.
Yeah, become more confident.
And of course he was fine with it. And this is what I mean in the tension between design and management must be a positive tension.
Yes.
Listen in what it is, and this is what Marek at the very end has then achieved in the following.
I can see your enthusiasm and your arms are moving. It sounds like you really enjoyed that part of it, didn't you? Getting involved in the design process. You knew what you wanted, and you had to communicate that and getting people on board to get your vision forward. You seem very passionate about that.
Absolutely. I with my experience in the balance between engineering side, marketing, brand communication, understanding what is needed, what is the package. There must be a package. And this is where I was every day in the design studio, in the evening, mostly design.
I'm sure Marek liked that.
Always, mostly in the evening when we had the time. I was always in the workshop, running around the line. Sometimes, of course, much later than when the line stopped, just to go through, just to what's there and see what has changed, because he probably and problem. So I wanted really the perfect package between product engineering, product design, marketing message, communication, quality. It's a huge package, and of course a satisfaction in a demand from customers. This is something what covers my needs.
Yeah,
and a lot of those things, they are because I wanted them. The PR&D buttons. That's my buttons.
Yes, okay.
No, really, my buttons, because the modern...
That's the park, drive and reverse buttons.
The modern Vantage, they are all anyway electric or automatic. Anyway, why would you do this with taking this famous space in the middle where you can use... So I said, we make PR&D. Then the engineers came, oh no, this will not be allowed in America, this will, for sudden acceleration and all of those things. Okay, then find me something else. They were in this creation phase a year until they came back and said, okay, this is the most simplest solution you can have. And then the buttons became not plastic, they became glass, crystal glass. Just a detail. Yes. Of course, if you don't know it, you think it's something. No, it's PR&D. In all the cars today, they have buttons to start the engine.
Yes, they do.
We were the first.
Yeah.
So, and then of course, one of my engineering, not design thing was that we were the first in automatic transmissions, which had revolution upgrade. If you downshift, the engine revs go up. In the past, if you go there, so, and we had in shift revolution, engine goes up and it was very smooth. It's my personal thing. I requested this, and I had said, if you made the transmission, I had convinced them that they do it.
Yeah.
Even in
so as it goes down, it just revs a little bit.
It revs up. If you press the button or the pedals, then the engine revs goes up. And with this being a first to do things like this, which gives really a good comfort, a good also speed wise and driving wise. This is Aston Martin. And this is, of course, today probably more difficult to achieve this in the competition than it was 20 years ago.
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know. But this is what, in my opinion, has made Aston Martin to the base what they do have today and try to come somewhere.
Yes. Well, I think the Vantage has proved to be The core model,
the cars out there, they look great. They're 20 years old.
They don't look it today.
They look, and they suit to today's traffic, because we are losing space for cars more and more. Because the footprint of the cars. Fiat 500 has doubled the footprint from
look at the minis.
Before. So everything is obviously good. This is what I criticize in the automotive industry. And a new model has to be wider, has to be longer, and has to be heavier.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's not new. And the space available is not growing. And we have in Austria, where we have anyway smaller roads, then you have bicycle roads. It's just, you can't. To drive fast, you need a small competent car. And you know this maybe in the Rally Monte Carlo. Mini Cooper, one of the most successful cars.
Yes,
it was the smallest, the tiniest, smallest, yes. Because they could went up the Col di Turini to the other side. And then, of course, the Quattros and so on. But it was a small car.
So small car, very agile, very racy, and of course you championed it in racing at the Nürburgring and GT4 racing, didn't you? You had great success with that. I think you did enjoy that, didn't you?
Very much so. But I must not say I did some races in Porsche, because it's a Porsche car.
Yes.
But this was not achievable with an Aston Martin. Until and this is the great thing about the team at this time, until they came a day and said, Uli, we want to build a race car out of the Vantage. We do it on the weekends, on Saturday and on the afternoon. It doesn't cost us. We don't need a budget. But you must just allow us that we do this. Okay, this was Rose.
Rose. We're trying to think of the name earlier.
This was Rose.
Rose and Kermit.
And then in 2006, and they, of course they attracted me and say, Uli, if it's allowed to build the car, you can be a driver. What else should I say? I said,
yes.
Okay, then go and do it. And so was Rose. Rose is, in my opinion, in the new history, in the new era, the most important race car. Even if it's a base car, but it was the car you could drive to the racetrack and you go 24 hours. And the car was now in 2016. The car retired after 10 years, flawless. This thing about racing.
Well, also the thing about racing, and I'm not going to go into detail because we're going to concentrate on Vantage, is that you have turned up today in your Signet. I have a Signet as well, so we're of like minds. And I seem to remember is that one of these race meetings you met up with the Toyota chairman to discuss. I think you had an idea. I think perhaps we can do a small city car for Aston Martin. That sort of appeared at one of these race meetings. Was it that conversation started? I don't want to talk about Signet, but I just wondered that's how it started. It's all about relationships, isn't it?
It's possible because I felt always what turns out to be right now, that the cities are too crowded with big cars, and you don't need this. And a little bit this understanding, if you have a big boat, you can probably not land in a harbor, so you have a small dinghy, and this is where you go to the harbor. And why would I not, with my 12 cylinders, 500, 700 horsepower, can go down for the bakery and have something which is at least nice. And if you can afford an Aston Martin for 150,000, 200 at this time, you can easily afford a Signet for 50,000.
Yes,
and have the same feeling of being something special. Have to touch something. Not everybody has it.
Interesting enough, I think the Signet has found its time today. As you can see in prices and interest in the car, it was probably ahead of its time, wasn't it?
It was 10 years ahead of its time.
10 years ahead of its time,
and it at the end it failed. We had the cooperation with Toyota, and we developed a battery-powered Signet. This was running as test car. It was nearly finished, and at this time Toyota decided we do not build battery electric cars.
Right.
This is now 10, 12 years ago. And you know what the story has shown? If we would have had the electric Signet,
yes,
this would still run, and this would be still. This would be the car to have.
It'd be amazing, ahead of its time. Dr. Betts, it's been an absolute joy. I'd love to talk to you about Signets, and perhaps I'll meet up with you in London. do it next time. But in time, I must congratulate you. It must be. I think you tend to associate chairman with cars, and I think I associate you with Vantage. I think it's a defining model, defining moment for Aston Martin history, defining for the VH platform and the new studio. I think you've made a massive impact on Aston Martin, and I thank you very much for joining in on the podcast.
Welcome. Next time.
Thank you. That's a wrap, but before you go, there are some important thank yous, as these events do not just happen. At the AMOC, thanks go to Douglas, Kerry, Linda and Michelle. At the AMHT, please raise a glass to Sophie, Bryony, Claire and Mike, and of course all the volunteers and helpers that made this happen. And particularly to Dr. Betts for his invaluable time. Another podcast next week, but in the meantime, if you have any ideas for future podcasts, please drop me a line at podcast@amht.org.uk. Thanks for listening.
You're listening to the Aston Martin Heritage Podcast. Discover more about the story of Aston Martin, the cars, the people, the history with the Aston Martin Heritage Trust. You're always welcome to visit us at our museum in Oxfordshire, so find out more via amht.org.uk.